Imagine waking up to the sound of waves crashing on a secluded beach, exploring ancient forests, or hiking through some of the most breathtaking landscapes in the world. Welcome to New Zealand, a traveler's paradise. But before you pack your bags and book your flight, there are some crucial things you need to know. In 2024, New Zealand has set specific travel restrictions that could impact your trip. Whether you're from the USA, Canada, India, Australia, Europe, Japan, or South Korea, this video will guide you through the latest regulations, ensuring your journey is as smooth as possible. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. That way, you'll stay informed with all the important updates on travel restrictions in different countries. New Zealand is known for its strict but effective measures when it comes to safeguarding its natural environment and public health. These restrictions aren't just about keeping the country safe, they're about preserving its pristine beauty and unique wildlife for future generations. As of 2024, New Zealand has updated its travel policies in response to global trends and health considerations. Let's break down what these restrictions mean for you, depending on where you're traveling from. For our friends from the United States and Canada, planning a trip to New Zealand requires a bit of preparation. The first thing to note is the Electronic Travel Authority. If you're planning to stay for less than 3 months, you'll need to apply for an ETA before your arrival. This requirement has been in place since 2019, but as of 2024, the process has become more streamlined. You can now apply online, and approval is usually granted within 72 hours. However, during peak travel seasons, it's advisable to apply well in advance. One key update for 2024 is the increased scrutiny on biosecurity. New Zealand's ecosystem is incredibly fragile, and even the smallest foreign organisms can cause significant harm. Expect to go through rigorous checks at customs. Be prepared to declare any food items, hiking gear, or camping equipment, as these will be closely inspected. Failure to declare can result in hefty fines. If you're bringing medication, ensure you have a doctor's note or prescription, particularly for any controlled substances. New Zealand's customs are strict, and it's better to be safe than sorry. Lastly, for those looking to explore beyond the usual tourist spots, New Zealand now requires travelers to register for a special permit if they plan to visit certain conservation areas. This is part of the country's effort to manage tourist impact on its most delicate ecosystems. For travelers from India, the journey to New Zealand is filled with excitement, but there are some important restrictions to keep in mind. First and foremost, Indian nationals are required to obtain a visa before traveling to New Zealand. Unlike citizens from visa waiver countries, the process can take a bit longer, so it's essential to start your application early, at least 2 months before your intended departure. New Zealand's biosecurity measures are particularly stringent for travelers from India. Make sure you declare any food, plant materials, or outdoor equipment. The customs officers are thorough, and undeclared items can lead to severe penalties. If you're planning to visit New Zealand's famous national parks, you'll also need to ensure your footwear and camping gear are clean and free of soil to prevent the introduction of non-native species. Another important update for 2024 is the restriction on bringing certain Ayurvedic and herbal medicines into New Zealand. These products must be declared, and it's advisable to have proper documentation, including a letter from your healthcare provider and a list of ingredients. This is to ensure that no harmful substances are introduced into the country. Lastly, if you're planning a longer stay or considering working while in New Zealand, be aware that work visas have become more competitive. The government has introduced a points-based system that prioritizes skills in demand. So, if you're looking to work or study in New Zealand, make sure your application is robust and aligns with the country's current needs. For more detailed information regarding work visa or moving to New Zealand, please watch How to Move to New Zealand episode. The link is provided in the description. Our neighbors from across the Tasman Sea, Australia, enjoy a special relationship with New Zealand, with both countries sharing a close bond. As an Australian tourist, you don't need a visa to visit New Zealand. However, there are still some restrictions to keep in mind. Australians should be aware that New Zealand has implemented stricter biosecurity measures, especially for travelers bringing in food, plants, or outdoor equipment. For those planning to bring pets, particularly dogs, into New Zealand, the restrictions have become more stringent. Pets must meet rigorous health requirements and undergo quarantine before being allowed entry. This is to prevent the introduction of diseases that could harm New Zealand's native wildlife. Finally, if you're thinking of extending your stay beyond the usual tourist timeframe, be aware that New Zealand has tightened its rules on visa extensions and long-term stays. It's important to plan your trip carefully and ensure that your stay complies with all regulations. European travelers, whether you're from the UK, Germany, France, or any other part of the continent, New Zealand offers an unforgettable travel experience. However, as of 2024, there are specific restrictions and requirements you need to be aware of. First, let's talk about the ETA. Like travelers from the USA and Canada, European tourists must apply for an electronic travel authority before entering New Zealand if they plan to stay for less than 3 months. The process is straightforward, but it's crucial to complete it ahead of time to avoid any last-minute issues. One of the major updates for 2024 is the increased focus on sustainability. European travelers are encouraged to participate in New Zealand's sustainability initiatives, including minimizing waste, using eco-friendly products, and respecting the natural environment. Additionally, there are new restrictions on the types of products you can bring into the country. Single-use plastics, for instance, are heavily discouraged, and you might be asked to dispose of such items upon arrival. For those planning to explore New Zealand's remote areas, it's important to register your travel plans with local authorities. This is part of New Zealand's efforts to ensure the safety of visitors, especially in areas prone to natural hazards such as earthquakes and volcanic activity. Lastly, if you're planning to work or study in New Zealand, you'll need to navigate the country's points-based visa system, which prioritizes skills and qualifications in demand. Make sure your application is complete and meets all the necessary criteria to avoid any delays. Tourists from Japan and South Korea are increasingly flocking to New Zealand, drawn by its stunning landscapes and unique cultural experiences. But before you embark on your journey, there are some essential updates for 2024 that you need to know. First, let's talk about entry requirements. Just like travelers from other countries, Japanese and South Korean tourists must apply for an ETA before entering New Zealand if your stay is less than 3 months. This process is relatively straightforward, and you can apply online. Make sure to do this at least a week before your departure to avoid any last-minute stress. New Zealand is also emphasizing biosecurity more than ever. As a visitor from Japan or South Korea, you must declare any food, plants, or outdoor equipment you're bringing into the country. Given the ecological similarities between these regions, New Zealand is particularly cautious about preventing the introduction of any non-native species. Clean your hiking gear thoroughly before packing it, and ensure that any food items are sealed and declared. One key update for 2024 is the introduction of a visitor levy specifically for tourists from Asia. This fee is part of New Zealand's effort to manage the environmental impact of increasing tourism. The levy is relatively modest, but it contributes directly to conservation efforts and maintaining the country's natural beauty. The fee is usually included in your airfare, so there's no need to worry about paying it separately. For those planning to visit New Zealand's Maori cultural sites, there are new guidelines to follow. These sacred sites are now under stricter protection, and visitors are required to respect specific cultural protocols, including dress codes and behavior. Be sure to research and understand these guidelines before your visit to ensure a respectful and enriching experience. There are some universal tips that all travelers should keep in mind when planning a trip to New Zealand in 2024. Respect biosecurity rules. New Zealand's commitment to protecting its environment is unwavering. Always declare any food, plants, or outdoor equipment you're bringing into the country. Remember, the penalties for failing to declare these items are steep, and it's just not worth the risk. Travel insurance is essential. New Zealand's healthcare system is excellent, but it's also expensive for non-residents. Make sure you have comprehensive travel insurance that covers health emergencies, cancellations, and any unexpected disruptions to your trip. Be prepared for the weather. New Zealand's weather can be unpredictable, with conditions changing rapidly, especially in mountainous areas. Pack layers and always carry rain gear, even if the forecast looks clear. Respect local culture and traditions. New Zealand is rich in Maori culture, and it's essential to respect local customs and traditions. When visiting cultural sites or participating in ceremonies, follow the guidance of local authorities or guides. Plan ahead for accommodation and transport. New Zealand is a popular destination, and accommodation, especially in peak seasons, can fill up quickly. Book your accommodation and transport well in advance, especially if you're planning to visit popular spots like Queenstown or Rotorua. Use trusted sources for information. For the most accurate and up-to-date information, rely on official websites like New Zealand Immigration and the Ministry of Health. These sources will provide you with the latest updates on entry requirements, health regulations, and any new restrictions. As you can see, planning a trip to New Zealand in 2024 requires some careful preparation, but the experience is more than worth it. By staying informed and following the guidelines, you'll be able to enjoy everything this incredible country has to offer, from its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage. We hope this guide has been helpful, and we wish you a safe and unforgettable journey. All important website links are in description. Before you go, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these travel restrictions? Do you have any tips or experiences to share? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your fellow travelers, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more travel guides and updates. Safe travels!